Yeah. Okay, so we are like in the middle, a little above the middle of page Daled. The line starts with the word Shebechochma. We're going through the principle of Hishtalshelus. I'm pointing out how in the Seder Hishtalshelus the upper source is higher, but it also can relate to the offspring, to that which develops from it. Like from Chochmah comes Bina, and there is a relationship between Chochmah and Bina. And Bina is the instigator, so to speak, initiator of the Midos. Again, there is the element of the Midos in the Bina. This is all in the process of Oyer, as we discussed yesterday, that throughout this entire process, since we're talking about Oyer, there's a clear recognition of the Elokus element. Because Oyer is not a Metzias per se. Even though there are, as you said, these various madrigas, pardon me, ultimately, Oyer is always pointing to its source, always pointing to the ultimate truth. And thus, even though we have Atzilus and we have the 7 spheres, 7 Midas, and we have Bina and Chochmah, what is the reality? The underlying reality of this entire structure is a Keser. This is the basis for the entire Gilun. That's what Atzilus is Olam Ho'elakus. Within Atzilus itself, as we said, there is this entire structure starting from Chochmah into Bina, into the 7 spheres, which are continually less related to Keser, more of a Metzias. And the Metzias element is in the fact that it has a more definitive presence in the Keli. What is the principle of a Keli? At that level, it's very difficult to identify, but in general, the inyan of the Keli is that at this point it presents its own reality. Meaning to say, when you talk about Chesed, for example, Oyer HaChesed is totally related to its source in Keser, in Chochmah. But it is Chesed, not Gvura. In that respect, that it distinguishes itself from Chesed, from Gvura, is a statement that it recognizes Chesed over and above Gvura, even though it is all Eira Liki. And Eira Liki encompasses everything, recognizes, accepts everything. It's superior to it. It's a truth that encompasses everything. Nevertheless, this recognizes the chesed element more clearly than the gvura. That ultimately becomes the keli, where it distinguishes itself from other qualities and other spheres. To give us a little bit of a handle. But please understand, this is just to illustrate the principle, not to compare it to the Ayin and Kelim in Atzilus. We speak all the time about a table. Now, in order to be by a table, you need a chair. The chair and the table are a set. Essentially, they both represent the one and the same reality. But yet, they're two separate entities. And there could be, and there's the emphasis, the table recognizes and distinguishes itself, so to speak, from the chair, and the chair distinguishes itself from the table, although together they form one oir, one principle, one human reality. In the sense that they form one human reality, yes, this is the oir, this is the human oir. Chair is a human thing, and tear is a human thing. But there is a specific function in each one of them. This specificity, that is provided as a result of a keli. In other words, it is defined and designed in a certain way, distinct from the other. So, this keli, in Atzilus, the kelim are also elokus. The kelim are not extraneous presences. But still, the oil and keli are two completely different levels. The keli is the mitzias, and I said the keli is where the distinction between one sphere and another is clearly identified. In the oil, the emphasis is the elokus, and there the different distinction between them is not that emphatic. Now we continue for one.
You said that on the or level they are distinguished also, but that ultimately becomes the keli. I thought we said that. I thought we said that the or never becomes keli. The or, as the or is
from the oil. From the oil, the fact that the oil can be distinguished. This is what allows a keli to surface, to come into being. The oil has a mislabish in the keli. Yes, there's an element in the oil that can relate to keli. The broader truth is that the kelim are actually rooted in the oiris, but this is the lower element in the oir. Whereas the real in of oir is oir. That it's not a mitzias, how it is related to the etzem. Take our example of a table and a chair. It's really a tangible mitzias, but its tangibility and its form is bottled totally to representing the oil, the human element.
That's showing that the keli is fitting to the or?
That's right.
That's the point?
Keli is fitting to the oil, and keli is the result of the oil coming and representing itself in a keli and a keli level. There's much to speak about this. It's not discussed here, so we're not going to. Just want to, in order to be able to understand the further thing that we discussed.
Okay.
If need be, we'll go into it to the extent necessary. V'hakelim dezun. Okay, this is where you're up to. V'hakelim dezun. The kelim of zun. Zun is Zoh and Malchus. The kelim of the spheres of the midas of Atzilus. Nasim, they become neshama libiyah.
Where are we?
We are in this hemshech here. Nasim neshama libiyah, they become neshama for biyah. In other words, in this one statement, what we are saying is that biyah is categorically separate from Atzilus. Atzilus is principally oir, but it also has kelim. Biyah, its initial presence is based on kelim the Atzilus. Kelim the Zoh, Nasim neshama libiyah. This becomes the neshama. This becomes the oil in biyah. Again, if we were to take a mundane illustration of the concept, when we teach a child a human mode of activity, we place a spoon in his hand and a chair, and you put him on a chair, and we place a plate in front of him, and we show him how to scoop up with a spoon a little food and put it in his mouth. This is all kelim. But this arouses in him an intellectual recognition. We're not training a child to eat with a spoon. We're teaching him. We are drawing his intelligence out via the kelim. This is essentially the principle that in biyah we start from kelim, but which kelim? Kelim the Atzilus. That was a kelim that are imbued thoroughly with oil. If the child, since I'm talking about this, it's useful. If the child messes up, picks up the spoon and he doesn't hold it right, or he doesn't appreciate it, and he spills it all over the place, and we make a big fuss about how come you spill it, we're missing the whole point. Then that means we're not teaching him the oil element that's in this keli, but the keli element. The whole thing is just be neat. There's no intellectual element in this at all. Then we miss the whole point. The only way to bring it down is let him mess up, but in the meantime he'll get to appreciate what this is all about. That's the main thing. So here we see a clear distinction between teaching him the kelim element or teaching him the oil that's contained in the kelim. This is all going back to the same principle that is presented in the very beginning. There is a rishima. The rishima is all kelim. But we were not given exclusively kelim. We were given oir. This is the chos of a heir. There's no point of giving the kelim. What's the big deal? We don't want him to look human. We want him to be human. That's what it's all about.
When you say that the kelim become the neshama, the kelim of the
Atzilus.
Atzilus become the neshama of Biyah, we're really saying, are we really saying that the kelim infused with or become the neshama?
Same right?
The kelim which are infused with or.
Yeah.
So it's a package. It's or and kelim become.
Well, no, it's the keli, because the oil Atzilus cannot reach into Biyah. Biyah cannot sense it. But the keli in Atzilus is also infused with oil.
The keli is infused with or.
Yeah. In our mashal again, our example, eating with a spoon is not just for neatness purposes. This is a human activity. The keli itself has an element of oil. Because we appreciate it. The monkeys, they train the monkeys to eat with a spoon. There's no oil in this at all.
So the shurish for the oil of Biyah is in the kelim of Atzilus?
That's right.
But that ultimately will relate back to...
Yes, because the
kelim of Atzilus are infused with oil.
The oil Atzilus and so forth. So there is an element of oil trickling down all the way. But this is what we're explaining the whole time, that we're not talking about where it's coming from. We're talking about what it relates to.
What it represents? What it relates to?
What it relates to. What the lower relates to the upper. And the Biyah cannot relate. He does not sense the oil Atzilus. But it can relate to the kelim Atzilus. Nasim l'shom l'biyah. Yud kelim pnimiyim b'briya. Biyah is 3 different levels: Briya, Yitzira, and Asiya. All 3 levels, even starting with Briya, which is the highest of the 3 levels, and Briya generally is correspondent to these 3 levels is correspondent to the 3 levels of the levushim, as we have machshava, dibur, and ma'aseh. Briya is correspondent to machshava, and we can readily see how machshava is much superior, much more refined than dibur and certainly than ma'aseh. Nevertheless, machshava is an external presence. Machshava is thoroughly contained in kelim. There is oisius. It is not an inherent presence. It is an express presence. So this is why it's all from kelim. So Yud kelim pnimim bibriya. The pnimi is the kelim of the zun de Atzilus are the neshama in briya, and then there is the kelim, the kelim amtsoyim, and then kelim chitzonim. This is Yetzira and Asiya. Ubehem melubosh haoras hakav kanal, and in these kelim is contained and melubosh. They'll go back to the word melubosh as of the point. Ha'oras hakav, the ha'or of the kav, canal, as we explained. In other words, the kelim, the atzilus are only kelim. but the oil is mislabesh in the keli. Mislabesh means that it actually is imbued in it and it fully relates to it. Like in our example, eating with a spoon on a chair by a table, it's all a trainable thing. Lahavli, you can even train a monkey to do that. But a human being is a totally different thing. He has an oil in it. He actually really appreciates it and recognizes it, that this is a human element. So in this kelim, even though it's a keli, and we represent it and we teach a child through the keli level, but within this is melubosh, actually is imbued, and it's the human being and the child even does not sense that he is just merely acting. He actually relates to the action. Even though yes, in fact, that's the only way to do it, is to learn how to act. Like we spoke a long time ago, learn to produce music on an instrument. And piano it seems like a very simple thing. You hit a key and I have music. There's a whole years of training and then some to produce music. If you do not appreciate music, you will never learn how to produce music. No matter how simple it is that you can just hit keys. But as much appreciation as you have in music, if you do not train to your hands and you train your thought to translate the music on the keys, you also won't be able to play. So in this training, there is oil and keli. And a teacher, not that I ever took lessons, but I'm just projecting, who is teaching and saying, no, don't hit this key this way, hit it this way. He has to point out, you see, did you hear the difference? That's what you have to try to obtain. Not just learn to hit the key with this intensity or this intensity. And if he does not arouse that thing, he's not a teacher. Okay? In line?
You should not hear. You should hear it. The difference. You should feel the difference.
Okay, that's together. Everybody can hear, but he does not appreciate it. It's nothing.
Just a quick question. It says Yud Kelim Panimim B'Bria. That's saying that the Yud Kelim Panimim of Atzilus go into Bria, and then the Chitzonim go into
Asiya. Right.
So there's different levels
there's
of Kelim.
Three levels of Kelim. Panimim and Tzoyim and
okay.
Well, Behem Ubesh Ahor is a Kav. And this is what we discussed just now. It's like a kelim, but in the kelim is melubosh. The kelim relates to the kav, But it's only ha'or as a kav. What is ha'or as a kav? We already discussed many times. The word ha'or means a subset. Only that aspect of the kav, not the essential light, the essential element, that a standalone light, but a light, a functional element of the light that can illuminate the keli. Show that this keli has something to do with, like in our moshel, that this method has something to do with the human, with the human element, with the human quality. That's what ha'orah. Hare. Thus, we see from this brief description, we see that Shenimshach Alidei HaTzinoros, that via these tzinoros, via these conduits, is drawn Hamshochas Oir Ein Sof Gam Bibiyah. The Hamshoch of Oir Ein Sof even into Biyah. Even though there is such a vast distance, difference, primary, categorical difference between the beginning of the Kav is in Ak and then or Keser and then Atzilus and then Biyah. Nevertheless, there is a Hamshachas Kav in Biyah. And how is that? And that comes because of these various tzinoros, various levels of tzinoros. Each tzinoir, each level carries in it a ha'ora, a subset of the oil, and at the level that it can relate to the next, that the next level can actually relate to it, and thus it transmits, it carries over the oil to the next level. The union that it carries over the oil is not just the objective reality of it. Everything comes from a Meibashir, that we know. But it actually can relate to it because it's presented in a manner that it be hislapshus, that the oil is mislavish, the oil becomes like the cake. Which we discussed already in the Moshel of the child and all that. ובזה יש צינוירס פרוטים רבים מאוד. Within this whole process, there are tzinoiros protim, specific and individual tzinoiros, rabbi moed, in great multitude. V'hahamshocha, how this is nimshach l'chol sfiro usfiro biprad, how it is, it draws into each sfira specifically an individual. V'gam yesh hilukim b'chol sfira, and then furthermore, there are differences for each sfira be'efen ha'hamshocha al ha'sfira hahi. Despite, in addition to the fact that there is different oiris and different hamshocha to each sfira, and different type of tzinoiris, multiple subdivisions. Each sfira receives its hamshocha in a different way, like chesed and gvura. Chesed and gvura both relate to the oir halaki in a different ways, and therefore oir halaki is a nimshach in chesed, not just the difference only in terms of quantity, how much, to what extent, but the approach, how it is nimshach into us, into chesed, and the approach how it's nimshach into gvura is quite different. Gvura is sort of like a remoteness, and chesed is a closeness. It's just a different approach in the entire presentation. Be'efen hamshoch al-asfira hi, k'mishikosov AyinBase, shar hatzinoiros perek hey. As the AyinBase explains in perek hey over there, shehatzinoiros nishtanu lefi habchino, that the tzinoiros alter, change, lefi habchino, according to the bechina, according to the type of hamshocha that is necessary. La'alofi, to thousands. thousands different, thousands, it's great multitude of different hamshotas. Lalo. Okay, this is where we have to stop today. Have a good day on the line. We are going to prepare for davening now. Have a good day.
Rabbi, what does it mean Shiva Mutzkais Leneris? Mutzakais maybe? No.
Shiva Mutzakos. Mutzakos means like lines blowing oil.
So it means like, what is the pasuk like? What does the sentence mean? Like, well, how would you say that? Like Shiva 7 lines.
For each layer there is 7 Shiva. Like in Tevet it's always like that. You repeat the same word, meaning that each level, each one has the same thing.
So each nair has like 7 lines?
7 lines.